The pressure that she's put on every single night to perform at the level that she does, it's inhumane, really, like to expect people to be perfect and to not have off games or off nights.
And Paige Bueckers came out in support of Clark.
Just excited, a sense of gratitude to see how far women's basketball has, to be able to play in this environment, in this arena.
She just missed shots, like of her turnovers.
The silence is over, and Paige Bueckers just did something that few expected, but everyone needed. In the middle of one of the ugliest social media pile-ons we've ever seen in the WNBA, Paige finally broke her silence. And when she did, she didn't hold back. She made it crystal clear. She's standing with Caitlin Clark. And honestly, it's about time someone did. Why is Caitlin Clark the only one getting dragged for growing the game? And why has everyone else been silent until now? Paige just stepped in and called it out. But do you think it's too little too late? Because the way Clark has been treated recently, by the media, by rival fans, and even by some fellow players, has gone beyond normal criticism. This isn't just tough love. It's not just rookie hazing. This is targeted, personal, and at times vicious. And Paige Bueckers stepping in, that might just be the reset this league desperately needs. Let's break down what actually happened.
She handles it with grace, and the pressure that she's put on every single night to perform at the level that she does, it's inhumane, really, like to expect people to be perfect and to not have off games or off nights. And if she doesn't go like 8 for 10 from 3, like people are questioning things. It's unfair to have to deal with that. But
after Clark's recent groin injury sidelined her again, her second major absence of the season, a wave of hate swept across social media. Instead of concern, compassion, or even just indifference, what did Caitlin get? Mockery, snarky memes, players and influencers making coded tweets that everyone knew were about her. Fans accusing her of being overhyped, fragile, or bad for the league. All of this directed at a 22-year-old rookie who's single-handedly driving ratings, ticket sales, and media attention to an entirely new level. And make no mistake, that spotlight brings pressure. But lately, it's also made her a target. That's why Paige Bueckers speaking out now matters so much. In a recent interview, Bueckers was asked about the discourse surrounding Caitlin, and instead of dodging the question or giving a rehearsed answer, she spoke from the heart. She said, "Caitlin has done nothing but elevate this game. She's an incredible competitor, and anyone who knows basketball knows how special she is. The hate she gets, it's exhausting, and it's wrong." Just like that. Clear, honest, and unapologetic. And the timing couldn't have been more important. Because while many former players have tried to play on both sides, Bueckers took a stand. No passive statements, no lukewarm support. Just full-on ride-or-die backing of Clark when it actually counts. And then comes the controversy. Joy Taylor on the Joe Budden podcast says that Caitlin Clark's rise is mostly because of Angel Reese's viral "you can't see me" gesture. Paige doesn't name Joy, but the reference is unmistakable. She lets Dave Portnoy take the swing. "Dumbest take I've ever heard," he says, slamming the idea that Caitlin's success came from drama and not dominance. And let's be real. This moment says more about the culture of the league than just one quote ever could.
Pressure and expectations, and those are the ones that Caitlin Clark deals with. And Paige Bueckers came out in support of Clark, saying, the level of expectations, the pressure is inhumane. So she really understands it because, Paige deals with a lot, but she sees what CeCe deals with and understands just how overwhelming that can be.
Because what we've seen since Clark entered the WNBA isn't normal. There's a clear divide, and it's ugly. On one side, you have players like Clark who draw record-breaking crowds and millions of new fans. On the other hand, some of the old guard, or even her own teammates, treat her like a threat instead of an asset. It's not about race, or money, or personality. It's about resentment. Resentment that Clark has become the face of the league without paying dues in the traditional way. And instead of lifting her up, The culture has become one of tearing down, which is why Paige's support hits so hard. Because Bueckers is no outsider, she's been through her own wars. A former National Player of the Year, multiple injuries, and intense media scrutiny. She knows what it's like to carry expectations while dealing with real life behind the scenes. So when she speaks up for Clark, it carries weight. She's not just being nice, she's being real. She sees through the noise, through the jealousy, through the lazy narratives. And more importantly, she's refusing to stay silent, just because it's easier. And that's leadership. That's character. What makes this even more powerful is the contrast with how others have reacted. We've seen players throw shade, unfollow Clark, roll their eyes during interviews, and subtly exclude her in social posts. Some media figures, many of whom should know better, have leaned into the anti-Clark sentiment for clicks, fueling a toxic environment that's now affecting her mental and physical well-being. And through all of this, Caitlin has mostly stayed quiet. She hasn't clapped back, she hasn't lashed out. She just kept showing up, playing hard, and taking every bump in stride. That kind of poise under pressure is what real professionals do. But it shouldn't be her job to absorb all of that alone. And Paige clearly saw that. If anything, Paige stepping up now could be the start of a much-needed culture shift in women's basketball. Because the truth is, the WNBA has a choice to make. It can either embrace the players who are bringing new eyes, new dollars, and new excitement to the sport. Or it can keep letting bitterness and silence dominate the conversation. Bueckers just showed the way forward. You don't have to agree with everything someone does to recognize their value. You don't have to play on the same team to have someone's back. And you definitely don't have to join in the pile-on just because it's popular online. In fact, real leaders do the opposite. Paige Bueckers' decision to publicly support Caitlin Clark resonated hard. Within minutes of the clip going live, social media flipped. The tone changed. Suddenly, the timeline was filled with posts praising Paige for saying what so many were thinking but didn't have the guts to say out loud. And just like that, one of the most respected names in women's basketball had shifted the narrative. Because here's the thing. Silence has consequences. The longer top players, coaches, and insiders said nothing while Clark got mocked, the more that hate festered. It sent a message. This treatment is normal. This behavior is okay. And it's not. When your league's biggest star is getting dogpiled online for everything from her stats to her facial expressions, you're not just dealing with criticism. You're watching a potential PR disaster unfold. That's why Bueckers' words hit different. They weren't carefully calculated or run through a PR filter. They felt real, like someone who had finally had enough. And for fans who've been watching Caitlin get dragged for months while delivering elite-level basketball night after night, this was the moment they've been waiting for. Let's not forget how deep this backlash runs. Clark has been accused of everything, being overhyped, a bad teammate, protected by the league, and somehow both too confident and too emotional. It's the kind of double standard that would never fly if the player in question looked or talked differently. And through it all, Clark has responded the same way, by playing her game, owning her mistakes, and staying classy under fire. But even the toughest competitors need backup sometimes, and Paige gave her that. This isn't just about two college stars with mutual respect. This is about leadership, plain and simple. Bueckers didn't have to say a word. She could have stayed in her lane, said no comment, or answered with a vague, "We all support each other." But she didn't. She showed up. She picked a side. She used her platform for something bigger than herself.
And if you zoom out even further, this isn't just a Browns story. It's a reflection of a league in transition. We're watching a new generation of quarterbacks rise. Players who come in with confidence, elite mechanics, and a chip on their shoulder. And Paige stood up on the sidelines, didn't cheer, didn't scream, just nodded. Because that's what real ones do.